When I was 8, I was kidnapped by traffickers while trying to save Sean, my childhood friend. 10 years later, when I returned, I found a fake heiress by Sean's side who looked 70% similar to me. She walked into my house openly, hugging my parents with intimate affection. Later, I caught her calling the traffickers mom and dad, while discussing plans to kidnap me again. In her panic, she ran me over with her car. Even worse, Sean helped her cover up the crime by dumping my body into the sea. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the moment when the traffickers were about to take Sean. I carefully considered, wasn't there a little boy at the orphanage nearby who looked quite similar to Sean? Ding! This novel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. Young man, I've twisted my ankle. Could you please take me to the hospital? Oh dear. I can't move, I really can't move at all. Sean Lloyd was always helpful by nature. Upon hearing this voice, he couldn't just walk away. Ma'am, don't you have any family around? Can't you walk at all? Here, let me carry you on my back. How charitable, indeed. Anyone who witnessed the scene would surely label Sean as a good boy. But how could such a kind and handsome boy stand by and do nothing in my previous life when human traffickers took me away? Sean carried the old woman towards the road, and as he walked, he turned back to urge me. Serena, come on. Aren't you coming? 8-year-old Sean was still small and thin, struggling a bit as he adjusted the old woman's weight on his back. I responded with an "oh" and then stopped. My stomach suddenly hurts. You go ahead, I'll catch up with you later. With that, I fled in the opposite direction. But since heaven gave me a chance to relive this moment, how could I miss watching such a satisfying scene? Following my memories from my previous life, I ran into a building first. The position was perfect to see the alley where I was kidnapped in my past life. The hospital wasn't far, and there were quite a few people on the street. But it was getting dark. After a while, Sean trudged past with the old woman on his back. Ma'am, could you perhaps walk a bit? You're quite heavy. The old woman didn't answer. Instead, she pulled out a handkerchief from her pocket. In my previous life, when I noticed something was wrong, I snatched that handkerchief and threw it on the ground, pulling Sean to run away. My action angered the traffickers hiding in the shadows. The other 2 men immediately rushed out to grab us. In the end, he managed to escape, and I became the only victim. But this time, I stood by the corridor window, coldly watching everything unfold below. The handkerchief was pressed against Sean's nose, but he reacted quickly, immediately throwing the old woman off his back. He staggered for a moment, clutching his head and muttering something angrily before trying to run. It seemed he had realized something was wrong. But escape wouldn't be that easy. 2 men blocked his path from both sides, and in no time they had him in their grip. I could faintly hear cries for help as I slowly curved my lips into a smile. Below, Sean looked up towards where I was standing as he struggled. As our eyes met, I smiled and waved at him. Help! Serena! Please help me! Help him? I did help in my previous life. But I died, didn't I? I deliberately wandered around for an hour before returning home in tears. But my parents weren't particularly concerned when they saw me crying. They just said, "Have you been fighting with Sean again? How many times do we have to tell you, a young lady should behave like one?" I was sick of hearing this, so I started crying even louder. Dad, Mom, has Sean come home? I can't find him anywhere. At this, my mom was so shocked she dropped her phone. What? Weren't you 2 together? Quick, let's check next door. My parents hurriedly dragged me to the Lloyd's house, asking as soon as we entered, "Is Sean here?" "What's wrong?" Sean went out with Serena. Sean and I grew up together, proper childhood sweethearts. So our parents often tease each other about being in-laws. But seeing me crying so hard my tonsils were almost visible, his parents became worried too. Serena, why are you alone? Where's Sean? Through my tears, I said, he was helping an old lady to the hospital. I had a stomach ache and went to the loo. But when I went to the hospital later, I couldn't find him or the old lady anywhere. His parents swayed on their feet and grabbed their coats, rushing out. My parents followed closely. Don't panic, maybe the kids just lost track of time. We'll help you look. Don't you know the chief constable? Call the police to check the CCTV. To complete the act, I made sure to sob dramatically as I returned home. As soon as I got inside, my face instantly became expressionless as I wiped away my tears. This was why I had waited an hour before coming home. Both our families have some money and connections. If they check the CCTV and actually manage to rescue Sean, what then? I need to give the trafficker enough time to leave the city, at least. Otherwise, how can I proceed with my plans? The look of despair and shock in Sean's eyes when he was captured was identical to what I saw in my previous life. In my past life, because of my interference, the traffickers had trouble catching both of us. We ran desperately towards the lit end of the alley. Just as they were about to catch us, Sean pushed me. I fell hard. I begged him desperately to help me up. Sean, please pull me up, I'm begging you. Beyond this alley was a busy street. If we could just make it there, we'd both be safe. The kidnappers were getting closer. I reached out to Sean, almost praying for his help. But Sean glanced behind me, bit his lip, and ran away without looking back. Sean! I cried in fear, crawling forward on all fours. But in the end, the kidnappers caught me by my legs and dragged me back. I was naive enough to believe that Sean would bring help back to save me. But even after those two brutal traffickers tortured me in the alley for over half an hour, Sean never returned with anyone. You nosy little brat. We weren't even interested in you, but you had to stick your nose in. How does it feel now, eh? Having fun? At 8 years old, I kept passing out from the pain, only conscious enough to feel the two men taking turns slapping me. Sean, why? If you had just helped me up, we both could have escaped. Even if you'd just brought someone back to look for me, things wouldn't have ended up like this. Later, I was sold to a remote village in the countryside, where I suffered for 10 years before finally making it back home. But when I returned, there was a girl who looked 70% like me living in my house. She walked into my home freely, hugging my parents affectionately. Just as I hesitated to step forward, she exclaimed in surprise, "Dad, Mom, Sean, this girl smells awful. She might have some disease." She spoke the most vicious words with an innocent face. Just like that, my parents, who had been overjoyed at finding their lost daughter, suddenly changed their attitude towards me. And Sean treated me with extreme disgust. I thought if I was just nice to them, they would eventually accept me. But instead, I heard their cold voices saying, "If you had died out there, you would have remained everyone's perfect memory. Why did you come back to disgust us?" Later, I discovered the fake daughter calling those two traffickers mom and dad, while discussing plans to kidnap me again. In her panic, she ran me over with her car, and Sean helped her cover up the crime, disposing of my body in the sea. If he could be so heartless, then surely there's nothing wrong with me letting him meet the same fate. What goes around comes around. This time, let him experience what it's like in those remote villages, where everyone looks at you like prey. After all, Sean is handsome, with a clean cut, slim build. Those desperate old men particularly fancy his type. They searched for the entire night before coming back. As soon as they opened the front door, Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd grabbed my arms anxiously. "Serena, please think carefully. What did the woman who asked Sean to carry her look like? Can you draw it for us?" Mrs. Lloyd gripped my arm tightly and shook me. "Draw it for us now." I froze for a moment before my lips trembled, and I burst into tears. I don't remember either. I had a stomach ache and needed to rush to the toilet. "Dad, Mom, have you found Sean?" At this moment, as heartbroken as I appeared to be crying, I was actually feeling delighted inside. Based on what happened in my previous life, Sean should be heading deep into the forest by now. My parents wiped away my tears, then looked at Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd hesitantly. Finally, they just shook their heads. All four parents sat on the sofa with vacant stares. Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd looked like lifeless puppets. Only when the phone rang did their eyes show a glimmer of hope. Have they found him? Watching their distress, I couldn't help but feel a hint of mockery in my eyes. It's just losing one child. Don't worry, they'll get over it soon. In my previous life, Sean brought my parents an adopted daughter. This time, I'll certainly help his parents overcome their grief too. I thoughtfully rubbed my chin, remembering there's a little boy at the nearby orphanage who looks quite similar to Sean. When he returns, the family will have a fake young master who's been raised to near perfection. He should be happy with that, right? 2 weeks had passed, and the Lloyds had exhausted all their connections trying to find Sean. Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd were consumed by grief each day, having lost a considerable amount of weight over the fortnight. Watching them made my heart ache, so I visited next door every day to keep them company. Mr. Lloyd, Mrs. Lloyd, I'm so sorry. If I hadn't gone to the bathroom that day, would Sean still be here? If I'd known that person was a human trafficker, I would have stopped him from pretending to be kind. I deliberately said this to start a conversation. Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd tried to speak, but tears fell before they could get the words out. After my persistent efforts, another week passed before they finally began to accept the reality. Silly girl, how could we blame you? You did the right thing by not going. If you had, you might have also. It's our fault. We taught him to be helpful to others, but forgot there are such terrible people in this world. They broke down crying again, holding each other. After nearly a month of keeping them company, I had grown accustomed to such scenes. While they cried, I quietly went to the kitchen to make some simple porridge. When they finished crying, I brought it to them. Mr. Lloyd, Mrs. Lloyd, please eat something. What if we get news about Sean? You'll need your strength then. With my encouragement, they managed to eat a little. Day after day, I gradually integrated myself into their home like a gentle rain, becoming their confidant and emotional support. Until the day I deliberately didn't visit, and they eagerly came to my house looking for me. I knew I had succeeded. After helping them calm down, I suggested, Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd, shall we take a walk in the nearby park? Staying indoors all the time isn't good for you. All right, Serena, we'll do as you say. I curved my lips into a smile and softly said, good. I accompanied them as we strolled seemingly aimlessly through the park. Mrs. Lloyd held my hand tightly while walking, telling me stories about Sean's childhood. Sean was born on the exact same day as you, Serena, and our families were neighbors. We always felt you two were meant to be together. Serena, do you know what Sean's comfort item was? I asked with feigned interest. What? I can't believe someone like Sean had a comfort item. A fleeting smile crossed Mrs. Lloyd's face, quickly replaced by sadness. It's quite funny actually. His comfort item was your baby bib from when you were a newborn. Somehow he got hold of it, and from then on, he wouldn't sleep without it. Sean, he always liked you the most. I remained silent. Like me? If he liked me so much, why did he leave me to die in my previous life? If he loved me so much, why did that imposter end up taking my place? Lost in thought, I noticed Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd suddenly stop walking. Sean. Sean? They released my hand and rushed towards a young man sitting on a bench nearby. Sean! Why haven't you come home? Your dad and me have been so worried. Oh Sean, were you trying to give us a heart attack? The boy, caught in their embrace, seemed overwhelmed by their emotional outburst. I gave him a slight nod. This was exactly why I had brought them to this park. Wayne Kent, the boy from the orphanage. He looked about 80% similar to Sean. And with this face, plus all the mannerisms I'd taught him about Sean's habits, it would be enough for him to live as part of the Lloyd family. Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd were deeply disappointed when they discovered Wayne wasn't Sean. But I was there to help. Don't you think this is fate? I said. He looks so much like Sean. But where do you live? How come I've never seen you before? Can we play together often? I asked cheerfully. Wayne lowered his head and whispered, I'm from the orphanage. From the corner of my eye, I noticed Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd's eyes light up. I seized the moment to suggest. Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd, this must be fate, it's amazing. We've never met him before despite living so close to the orphanage. Sean just. Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd, would you like to? How could they refuse? Desperate people will grasp at any hope they can find. It's rare to find someone who looks so similar to their son. Eventually, they brought Wayne home and named him Wayne Lloyd. The next day, Wayne came to me and, after a long silence, asked, "Why did you help me? How did you know they would take me in?" I tried to appear as innocent as possible. Because Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd's original son was kidnapped. And you look just like him. I hope you'll study hard and not disappoint them. As long as he behaves and stays out of trouble, he'll become a true member of the Lloyd family. When that happens, his life will change dramatically. Just like those stories about switched identities. I can't wait to see how time flies. I wonder what expression Sean will have when he returns in 10 years. And finds someone has taken his place. With Wayne around, Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd's heartache seemed to find solace. He was a well-mannered and sensible boy, who had won them over within 2 weeks of moving in. They even started bringing Wayne to our family dinners. My mom looked at Wayne with a warm smile. Such a lovely boy. It's a shame he's an orphan, but meeting your family is truly a blessing for him. Wayne seems about the same age as our Serena. Where did he go to school before? She asked. At this question, Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd turned to me. Serena dear, we've been meaning to discuss something with you today, Mrs. Lloyd began. We'd like Wayne to transfer to your exclusive school. Since it'll be new for him, we were wondering if he could join your class. Would you help look after him? I agreed without hesitation. Of course! This meant I'd have more chances to spend time with Wayne. The next day, Wayne joined our class. However, in our small social circle, everyone knew Wayne was the Lloyd's adopted son. Rich kids always had their way of sizing people up. They began testing Wayne subtly. And when they realized he hadn't fully secured his position in the Lloyd family, they started excluding and bullying him. I saw it all but didn't intervene. It wasn't until a week later that I stepped in to help Wayne when he was being bullied. After all, being rescued after enduring bullying would make Wayne more grateful to me. After school, when he was cornered again, I pushed through the crowd. Pretending not to understand their bullying, I said, "Wayne, are you still hanging around here? Didn't Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd arrange those extra tutoring sessions for you? You know, to help you prepare for helping with the family business?" Wayne blinked, momentarily confused. Thankfully, he wasn't stupid. And understood I was saying this for the others to hear, so he played along. The others were stunned. What? Serena, you're joking, right? The Lloyds are planning to hand over the company to their adopted son? I tilted my head and smiled. Well, what else can they do? Sean's disappeared, and Mr. Lloyd only has one son now. If not Wayne, then who? The crowd exchanged glances and silently parted to let us through. See you tomorrow, I called out. Wayne walked beside me in silence. Just before reaching home, he finally spoke. Thank you for today. Before I could say don't mention it, he added. I know you were helping me out of that situation. Don't worry, I won't covet things that don't belong to me. What? I'd gone to all this trouble to bring him in. But I certainly didn't want him to be this harmless. I stopped and turned to look at him. Why wouldn't you covet? Wayne seemed confused by my question, his mouth hanging open, unable to find the words. I looked at him seriously. The opportunity is right in front of you, and you still don't know how to cherish it? Do you want to be bullied forever? Wayne frowned, a flicker of emotion passing through his handsome eyes. I looked away. He looked too much like Sean. But I'm adopted. Sean will come back sooner or later. So what if you're adopted? I challenged. They don't care whether you're biological or adopted. All they care about is what benefits you can bring to the family. Besides, what about love and affection? Before I was 8, Mom and Dad doted on me exclusively, wanting to give me the world. But when I came back in shambles 10 years later, didn't they still stand with the fake daughter, treating me like rubbish. They complained that I was too dark and thin to be presentable. They were ashamed that I'd forgotten all my previous social etiquette training, saying I'd embarrass them in public. At a dinner party with more than 20 people, Dad even told me to get out just because I dropped my fork on the floor. But Mom and Dad, for the past 10 years, I was kept bound hand and foot, having to eat with my face practically in the bowl. If I didn't eat, I would starve to death. For me, etiquette was the first thing I had to abandon. It was hard enough just staying alive to return. Feelings fade over time. Whether you take this chance or not is up to you. With that, I headed home first. In this life, I would only focus on what benefits me. It seems my words to Wayne had taken effect. He was becoming more like a proper heir to wealth with each passing day. Whenever he was unsure about something, he would come to me for advice, and he no longer acted timidly around others. Over the years, he not only mastered golf, shooting, horse riding, and piano but also thoroughly studied finance and business management. He had grown into someone even more exceptional than Sean Lloyd himself. After he secured another project for the Lloyd family, I waited for him outside the conference room. As soon as he came out, I handed him a bouquet of flowers. "Congratulations on landing another big deal," I said. Wayne held the flowers in one hand and naturally took my bag with the other. "Stop teasing me, future business mogul. Let's go home." I smiled without saying anything. Over these years, not only had Wayne proved himself in various fields, but I had done equally well. "By the way, A-levels are coming up soon. Which university do you want to attend?" Without hesitation, I replied, "University A." Wayne glanced at me. What a coincidence, me too. Looking at the night view passing by the window, I slowly curved my lips into a smile. Nearly 10 years had passed. I had been dedicated to improving myself, gradually taking over the family business, connections, and resources from my parents. Meanwhile, Mr. Lloyd had been letting Wayne handle family business matters alongside his studies. Despite his young age, he excelled at everything he undertook. Everyone in our social circle knew that the Lloyds had struck gold by adopting such a brilliant and hardworking son. Combined with his striking looks and tall frame, he had unexpectedly become an internet sensation. Although he had no intention of pursuing a career in social media, his completely empty profile had somehow attracted 10 million followers. By my calculations, Sean should be returning soon. But regardless, Wayne had more than one path to fall back on. Besides, it wasn't certain whom Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd would favor when the time came. This grand drama was something I had to stay local to witness. On the day of A-levels, Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd took us out to celebrate with my parents. Everyone was beaming with joy, and there wasn't a trace of gloom on Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd's faces. We didn't get home until late that night. "Good night, Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd. See you tomorrow." We were waving goodbye when a chilling voice came from nearby. "Who is he?" Without hesitation, Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd replied, "That's Wayne, our son." Under the streetlight, a shabby-looking young man stomped his foot in despair and shouted, "If he's your son, then what am I?" Everyone froze. Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd dropped what they were holding. My parents exchanged worried glances, their hands retreating from the door they were about to open. I was the only one who couldn't help but smile. Finally, after all this time, he's back. When I saw the girl standing beside him, my hand clenched at my side. Dora Ford, my parents' adopted daughter in my previous life. Afraid of losing her position when I returned home, she had framed me multiple times, until she finally killed me in a car accident, the fake heiress. I would recognize her even if she were ashes. Sean rushed forward to Wayne like a madman, shouting, "I was lost, not dead. Did you ever think of me as your son at all? While I was eating pig slop in that godforsaken place, you were here living it up and found someone to replace me." Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd were too shocked to respond, but one could hardly blame them. Sean looked completely different now, with greasy matted hair and a scar across his dirt-darkened face. His neck was filthy, clearly showing layers of grime, making him look like a chimney sweep. "Say something," Say something. I'm back. I'm the real child of this family. Tell this bloke to get lost. Sean started pushing Wayne. Finally, Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd snapped out of their daze. They instinctively shielded Wayne behind them. Sean. Sean? How did you come back? Sean laughed bitterly, his eyes red. Should I not have come back? Fine, I'll leave. At this moment, Dora, who had been quiet all along, grabbed Sean's arm. Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd, Sean has suffered so much these past years after being kidnapped. It's understandable that he's hurt seeing all this. Just look at his scars to see how much he's been through. Sean's stomach and back were covered in scars. I knew exactly where those scars came from. They were whip marks, plain and simple. Beaten for disobedience, beaten for resistance. Beaten even harder for trying to escape. Mrs. Lloyd's tears started falling immediately. She wanted to hug Sean, but her outstretched arms hesitated. It's good that you're back. Let's go home first, you can have a nice shower and feel better. And look at Serena, you haven't seen each other for 10 years. She's grown more beautiful. Before she could finish, Sean lunged at me with gritted teeth. I deliberately didn't dodge, but Wayne pulled me away from Sean's attack. Serena! You evil woman, you don't deserve to live in this world. Die. I'm going to kill you. Everyone was terrified by his behavior. I pretended to be pitiful and innocent, trembling while hiding behind my parents. Sean, why are you saying such cruel things to me as soon as you're back? Of course, I knew why. Back then, I watched him being taken away. Sean pointed at my nose, cursing me, saying I deserved a terrible death, that I was worse than demon. He said he was kidnapped because of me. I didn't defend myself, just looked at him with shocked and hurt eyes throughout. Just like in my previous life when no one believed me. Now, no one believes him either. During his absence, I had almost become like a daughter to the Lloyds. Who would believe his nonsense? Sure enough, when Mr. Lloyd couldn't calm Sean down, he kicked over a nearby bin and pointed at him, shouting, "Stop acting crazy here. We checked the CCTV footage back then. You were foolish enough to get tricked. How is that Serena's fault? Go home now." Sean wanted to say something more, but Mr. Lloyd added, "If you won't go home, then leave and don't come back. I'll act as if I never had a son." Finally, Dora gently touched Sean's arm. He relented at last. Fine, I'll go home. But this is Dora, my girlfriend. She's coming home with me. The drama finally ended. However, before entering the house, Dora glanced back at me. And the hatred rolling in her eyes left me puzzled. If anyone should hate someone, it should be me hating her. Could it be that she has also been reborn? The next day, Wayne and I had arranged to meet up to prepare for the art exhibition. After a moment's thought, I deliberately went next door. "Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd, how is Sean doing?" Sean, who was having his dinner, threw his fork violently on the floor at the sound of my voice. "Dad! I told you last night that we need to cut all ties with the neighbors." Mr. Lloyd gave him a helpless look, while Mrs. Lloyd quickly got up and pulled me inside. "Don't listen to him. He's just returned and is a bit overwhelmed." "Who's overwhelmed?" Sean stood up abruptly and strode towards me. In his previous life, he had grown to about 6 feet 1 inch, quite tall. But this time, perhaps due to malnutrition, even in my heels, I was about the same height as him. "Serena, stop putting on airs in our house. Get out now." As Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd were about to stop him, Dora, the false heiress from the previous life and now in this life, held them back. "Please hear what Sean has to say. Serena, I really don't know what I've done to offend you. Do you have any idea what kind of life I've had all these years? Those beasts." Perhaps remembering something painful, Sean's lips began to tremble mid-sentence. "But I'm back now, and this is my home. Not yours and that pretty boy's. I'm the Lloyd's son, the heir to the family business. And none of you can covet what's mine." I glanced at Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd, then nodded along as if humoring a child. "Yes, yes, yes, you're absolutely right. Wayne, it's getting late. We should head out." Where are you going? Sean blocked our path. I deliberately gave Wayne an admiring look. To the launch event for the project Wayne and I are working on together. By the way, didn't you used to enjoy attending these events with your parents? Would you like to join us? Sean's face instantly turned red with anger. Oh right, I forgot. Even with the best opportunities, after being away for 10 years, it's hard to come back. I smiled and waved to Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd. We're off now, bye, Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd. After I stepped outside, Dora followed me. Wayne was already waiting in the car, while Dora started to probe me. I heard you and Sean were childhood sweethearts. And you were there when he was kidnapped? How did you manage to escape? Looking at her feigned innocence, I covered my nose and stepped back. What's that awful smell? Did you not wash properly last night? That fishy stench, you must have some nasty infection. Those were the exact words she said to me when we first met in my previous life. We stared at each other, the hatred in our eyes no longer concealed. So you've been reborn too, you wretch. I let out a cold laugh. God justice indeed. I've come back specifically to deal with you murderers. Dora's lips curled into a cold smirk. Reborn or not, you'll still lose to me. This time, I'll run you over with my car and throw you in the gutter to rot. Your parents will still treat me as their daughter. I glanced at her sideways and smiled. She thought I'd done nothing in these 10 years? Now, they're the ones who can't live without me, not the other way around. What are you smiling at? I looked her up and down dismissively. Just thinking how ordinary you look without my family's money backing you. I wonder how Sean would react if he knew your parents were the traffickers? Her pupils contracted in fear as I walked away to the bends nearby. Wayne handed me a bottle of water. You seem to really hate those two. I do. I made no attempt to hide it. If you want to stay here, you need to be hostile towards them, just like me. Isn't this moment what I've been waiting for all these years? Wayne started the car, eyes fixed on the road ahead, and quietly said, "All right." The press conference wasn't really necessary. I just used it as an excuse to provoke them a bit. After wrapping up most of the work, Wayne and I found a coffee shop to sit in. As we were sitting there, I spotted one of the Lloyd family cars passing by on the street. Could that be Sean? Let's follow and see. The car stopped at the hospital entrance, and sure enough, it was Sean. And he hadn't brought Dora with him. He was being quite secretive about it. What's more, he headed straight to the proctology department. Wayne looked puzzled. What's he doing there? I just smiled knowingly. Surely he hadn't come to the hospital alone just to check for hemorrhoids. Seems like Sean has had quite some interesting experiences over these years. Sean spent the entire day in the proctology department, constantly insisting before leaving that he couldn't be admitted to the hospital due to other commitments. After he left, I had Wayne use his face, which looks similar to Sean's, to trick some information out of the doctor. What's going on? Wayne's expression was rather complex. Come on. What did you find out? Wayne showed me a photo. It was Sean's recent scan, clearly showing a round light bulb and a beer bottle in his abdominal cavity. Even though I was somewhat prepared, I was still absolutely gobsmacked. Bloody hell, his experiences were far more colorful than my previous life. Wayne's 18th birthday was approaching in a few days. Despite the awkward atmosphere in the Lloyd household these days, Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd were still meticulously preparing for his coming-of-age celebration. Sean had been constantly causing trouble. When I came back home, you didn't throw any party to welcome me. Now you're making such a fuss about this adopted son's 18th birthday? Mom, Dad, have you gone senile? I'm your real son. Standing beside them, I put on an innocent face and said, but Wayne has won numerous competitions and got involved in company projects early on, bringing great honor to the family. Besides, this birthday party isn't just for him. Many people will attend. It's basically a business networking event for adults. Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd gave Wayne and me an approving look. However, when their eyes fell on Sean, they let out a subtle sigh. Your father and I have said this many times. If you could just control your temper a bit, we'd immediately arrange a party for you and set up your studies abroad. Your girlfriend could also dash. Before she could finish, Sean jumped up again. What do you mean? You want to send me away so you can hand over the company to this pretty boy? Let me tell you, that's impossible. Our family business must go to me. If not, I'll destroy everything before letting you give it to an outsider. If I can't have a good life, neither will anyone else. When I was suffering out there, did anyone think about me? No. Here you are raising someone else's son. Thinking you're enjoying family bliss. How stupid and ridiculous. Mr. Lloyd finally lost his patience at these words. He smashed his teacup on the floor. If you continue spewing such nonsense, you can go right back to where you came from. Sean was trembling with rage, but Dora eventually pulled him away. After calming Mr. Lloyd down, I headed home only to find those two quarreling on the street. It was too good an opportunity to pass up teasing them. Already angry? Sean, I must say, you've become quite petty lately. Sean tried to get physical with me while Dora watched coldly from the side. I stood my ground and said, hit me, and all the company shares will go to Wayne. What do you mean? I smiled at them sweetly. Don't you know? Wayne is so exceptional, and he's been part of this family for 10 years now. Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd have already signed the documents to give him 10% of the shares, which will take effect on his 18th birthday. That was the first time I saw someone's eyes literally blazing with fury. After his coming-of-age celebration, Wayne will be a proper shareholder. Sean gritted his teeth. This is absolutely outrageous. Many guests attended the coming-of-age party. Wayne, as today's protagonist, was glowing with joy. He accompanied Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd, mingling with the guests. After 10 years of grooming, he had become quite adept at handling such social occasions. Just as they were about to cut the cake, Sean suddenly opened a bottle of champagne and sprayed it directly at Wayne on the stage. The champagne splashed equally on everyone, causing screams of surprise throughout the venue. Wayne's carefully styled hair was now wet and stuck to his forehead, with drops of champagne trickling down his cheeks. Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd were startled, but it was too late to stop him. Why throw a party for this outsider? Why are you introducing him to all these people? Sean shouted from behind, and not satisfied, he rushed to the stage and grabbed the microphone. Open your eyes and see clearly, I'm the rightful heir to this family. That imposter, I'll kill him someday. Before he could continue his outburst, Mr. Lloyd rushed forward and slapped him. Shut up. I'm sorry, everyone. Sean has mental issues, he's not well. Ah. How dare you hit your father, Sean? Father and son began fighting in front of everyone, causing the guests to flee. I helped Wayne wipe the champagne from his face. This is the best birthday gift I could give you. From now on, Wayne would face no more threats. Wayne's lips curled into a slight smile, but his expression quickly changed to a frown. He quickly pulled me behind him and kicked out. Only then did I realize that Dora had rushed at me with a knife. Even after being kicked to the ground, she shouted defiantly, "Let me try again. Let me try again." Wayne frowned. Is she mentally ill? Of course, I knew what she meant by try again. Unfortunately, she would never get another chance in this lifetime. Mr. Lloyd and Sean had a complete falling out. They severed their father-son relationship, and Sean was thrown out of the house. Meanwhile, I leaked that compromising video of Sean to the press. Instantly, topics about Sean went viral across all social media platforms. Seriously though, I'm just curious how this bottom bloke could still fight with a foreign object inside him. Bottom bloke here, no, I just slipped in the shower, that's all. He must have actually lost his mind. The overwhelming wave of negative comments can quickly drown someone. A few days later, I received a text from Sean. The usual place. Dare to come? It took me a while to remember what he meant by the usual place. That evening, I went there willingly. But this time, I was prepared. When that car came charging again, it blew 2 tires before reaching me and crashed into a nearby tree. I coldly watched as they all got injured. Did you think I'd fall for the same trick twice? Sean had a gash on his head, blood covering his face. He glared at me viciously. Why are you doing this to me? I smiled. I'm just treating you the same way you treated me. In the air, I caught the scent of petrol. Watching the fuel spreading on the ground, I kept it brief. All these years, you've been stuck in Black Village, unable to escape, right? A flash of surprise crossed Sean's eyes. How did you know? I smirked. I also know that your girlfriend's parents are human traffickers. Sean didn't believe it, so I threw him a video clip. It showed Dora affectionately calling the traffickers mom and dad, even suggesting ways to abuse Sean. How did I get this video? Of course, after my rebirth. I'd sent people to secretly install hidden cameras in the trafficker's house. Dora saw the video content and screamed, shaking her head, "No. No." But Sean was furious. "I'll kill you. You witch." I turned and walked away quickly. Let the flames cleanse these monsters. After learning about Sean's death, Mr. and Mrs. Lloyd weren't as devastated as one might expect. Instead, they seemed relieved. However, Mr. Lloyd had been badly beaten, and combined with the psychological trauma, he appeared to have aged a decade. Wayne smoothly became the sole heir. My parents were watching TV at home, commenting on the series of events that had befallen the Lloyd family. Do you think there's something wrong with that family? So many things have happened recently. I think they need someone to cleanse their bad luck. I let out a cold laugh and turned off the TV. Hey, you. Meeting my parents' gaze, I pulled out 2 plane tickets and said slowly, "Now that the elders next door have stepped down, perhaps you should retire abroad too. Serena, are you getting too big for your boots?" I stood up with a smile, shaking the small medicine bottle in my hand. "Dad, you've been having heart problems lately, and all your special medicine comes from me." In truth, there was no special medicine, they were just vitamins. He only thought they worked because I didn't spike his drink on the days he took them. My father's face fell as he realized his weakness. He sank back into the sofa. "All right, fine. Children grow up and start plotting to take over, huh?" I walked straight upstairs. In my previous life, they had distanced themselves from me. Because of the fake daughter's instigation, letting them retire abroad was already merciful of me. The next morning, as I was leaving for the office, I ran into Wayne at the doorstep. He nodded at me. "Shall we?" I slipped into his car with a smirk. "Let's go." Our battlefield was just beginning.